what's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
Yeah, so this is interesting. So there's lots of advice that I give to people, but I think the best piece of advice that I've received is from a guy called John Elliott,
Mm-hmm.
who do you know him from
Eback.
eBay?
Yep.
Just incredible guy. Donated his company to his employees, and that actually was the thing that prompted me to contact him. So I saw that article in the news. I think it was the BBC, and I just reached out to him on LinkedIn. Said really inspired me. This was just when I was starting Everflow, kind of back six years ago. I said I'm just starting out my own business. I'd love to meet up, chat, grab a coffee with you. And he was kind enough to say, oh yeah, I'd love to. So I had a coffee just kind of next to his factory. But yeah, so I had a coffee with him there, and then he took me for a tour of his factory, and
Oh,
kind
nice.
of I asked him, what advice would you give me starting out? And first thing he said was, you really don't strike me as like as kind of the leader of a business. And I think that's probably still true. I think to most people, I'm still kind of the rebel that, like, how on earth is he in charge of that company? But the advice that he gave me was very simple. He said, do not be flexible with your customers. So in essence, what he was saying was figure out who your customers are, figure out what you're selling to them, and be happy. You're going to have to turn away some customers because they're not going to fit your mold, but that's fine because you can't be everything to everyone. And he was dead right, because I think the approach that I'd taken at the start of the business was we were trying to be everything to everyone and trying to offer every water to everyone in the market, whether they were Tesco or whether they were kind of a corner shop. And the fact that kind of those two different customers were they had very different needs. If we continued down that route, we'd have ended up with kind of 100 different processes for different customers, and that just doesn't work in business. And so you have to just be willing to go, well, they're not my customer, and that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
So
Who kind of is your target customer? What would you classify?
So our target customer for retail is SME businesses. So
Okay.
we'll work with anyone kind of that's using kind of anywhere from £100 a year on water all the way through to about £1 million on water,
Oh,
and that's
cool.
our sweet spot. Anything above that, and we kind of just politely say no, as much as they might like to work with us. We've had a few of those where it's again this comes back to
Your values.
your values and decision making. We've had kind of a few that have come to us, and then we've ummed and ahed and gone, actually, guys, you have to be pretty disciplined on that.
No, honestly, I love it. And again, I've done about 90 of these now, and nobody said that before, so that's quite cool. And that's the reason I love this, and hopefully when it gets clipped up, it's value that you can give to people. That I think is quite cool as well. If you were to give advice to your younger self, and you can pick, I don't know, you at school, GCSEs, you 6 years ago, what would it be?
I've had a think about this before, and honestly, I don't think I would. And I think for the same way that I like the game of kind of running the business, life to me is a journey of discovery. There's failures and successes, and each one of those things, whether it's a failure or a success, teaches you something. And to be honest, that is, to me, is much more impactful than kind of being told something. So, even if I gave myself some advice, I probably wouldn't have listened to it because I'm naturally a rebel. But there's nothing kind of along the journey where I've gone, do you know what? There are things that you go, oh, well, if I'd done that sooner, then that would have been better. But like, I am where I am, and I don't think I'd have the same kind of wisdom to pass on to people or things like that if I haven't kind of experienced some of those challenges firsthand.
But the other side to it is the one you said before about how maybe your personality, where you are quite eccentric and rebellious, and whatever, you kind of need those people. You're never going to get to $1 billion in revenue if you play it safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So totally. It's just I get it. I like it, and I think investors will like it as well, because you want to aim high, and it's just you need to be a little bit crazy to do stuff that other people think, wow. But I still stand by the fact that I think your background in engineering and the way that you think and stuff will help you get there in a way that not everyone has. So I think it's almost the perfect mix of stuff.